Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a pretty fascinating roadmap, one that's designed to unlock what the source material calls a free life. You know, that crushing, suffocating internal pressure of daily expectations we all carry around? Yeah, we're going to break down exactly how to escape it. To really ground this in reality, I want you to picture a highly relatable and honestly highly stressful scenario right out of the gate. Imagine you just took a massive, super important exam and you completely failed it. Ouch, right? Look, it happens to the absolute best of us. But here's the thing. How you react in the moments, the days, and the weeks after that failure, that is what's going to completely dictate your reality.
To overcome those tough moments, we're going to navigate 4 distinct mental shifts today. First up, the words we choose. Then, shielding against the personal. Number 3 is the trap of assumptions. And finally, the truth of your best.
All right, let's jump right into number 1, the words we choose and how self-talk shapes our reality. So let's look back at our starting scenario. You just failed that big exam. The event itself, it's set in stone. It happened. But what happens next is entirely 100% dependent on your internal dialogue. Look at the diverging paths here. We've got the exact same person in the exact same situation. But the words they use create wildly different outcomes. On one side, positive self-talk leads to constructive action. You analyze what went wrong, maybe you study a bit differently, and bam, you bounce back to get a good result next time. But the destructive route? Well, the source text points out that a negative loop can break you so severely it can literally unravel your mental health. It can spiral so far out of control that it lands you in a hospital. I mean, think about that. The situation didn't change at all, but the trajectory of your life absolutely did, purely based on the vocabulary bouncing around inside your head. The words you choose literally become your world.
Moving on to number 2, shielding against the personal, or as we like to call it, escaping the nightmare. Okay, so how does this actually build our defense? Well, if you internalize the actions of others, taking things super personally, you're basically rolling out the red carpet for pressure, stress, and anxiety to just wrap around you like a heavy, suffocating chain. The source text uses this really interesting anecdote about a guy named Ferruccio to illustrate this perfectly. So Ferruccio gets insulted by someone, right? And instead of brushing it off, he takes it deeply to heart. He ends up tangled in this miserable, literal nightmare state of overthinking and completely ruins his own peace of mind. He essentially allowed someone else's poison to become his own. Now bring that back to our exam scenario. If you take that failure personally, like believing it means you are a fundamental failure as a human being, rather than just recognizing it as an event that happened, you trap yourself in that exact same nightmare.
Usually when things go wrong, our natural default is to just point fingers externally, right? It's how we protect our ego. We blame the teacher for a needlessly hard test, or we obsess over what some other student did. But the source advises this radical, real game changer of a shift. Flip the script to self-accountability. Instead of looking outward, ask yourself, why did I do that? By shifting the inquiry inward to your own actions, your own study habits, or, well, your own choices, you instantly drop all that emotional baggage handed to you by others. You aren't a victim of a bad teacher, you're just a student who needs a new strategy. Boom! You reclaim your own agency just like that.
Which brings us to number 3, the trap of assumptions, and the importance of finding the facts. You know how when we lack information, our brains just absolutely love to fill in the blanks with the absolute worst-case scenarios? Imagine discovering the truth is like taking a walk. The actual concrete facts are sitting right there at stage 8 or stage 9 of that journey. But if you just leap right over them and jump straight to stage 10, the assumption stage, you completely paralyze yourself. For example, instead of actually asking your professor why you failed and looking at the grading rubric, which by the way is stage 8, you just assume they hate you. You assume you aren't smart enough for the major, and you drop the class entirely. That's stage 10. You completely missed reality because you leaped to a catastrophic, totally untrue conclusion that stopped you from taking a productive first step.
To combat this kind of paralysis, the source offers a blunt but super powerful instruction. It says, try to take the fact out of it. Imagine taking a little pair of tweezers to carefully, methodically extract the cold, hard facts from that tangled, messy web of your emotional guesses. By doing this, you completely strip away the paralysis. You literally force yourself out of that destructive stage 10 mentality, and you allow yourself to navigate the actual, manageable reality of stages 8 and 9. Just the facts, nothing more, nothing less.
And finally, we arrive at number 4, the truth of your best and the weight of the internal lie.
This right here brings us to the heaviest emotional beat of our entire explainer. Listen, if you choose not to give your absolute best, you are basically signing up to drag around an invisible boulder. Knowing deep down in your gut that you held back, that transforms the simple, temporary failure into this massive, enduring, lifetime burden.
You end up carrying the ghost of your own lack of effort with you everywhere you go. It's this quiet, persistent, lifetime stress that just eats away at your confidence, all because you know, for a fact, that you compromised your own potential.
I actually want to share a really poignant quote directly from the source material here. It goes, "You would say you did your best by faking your parents. Imagine the pressure in your heart." Think about our exam scenario one last time. You fail. You lie to your parents and tell them you gave it everything you had. And hey, the external world might buy your excuse. They might even give you some sympathy. But you know you failed simply because you didn't really try. The internal pressure that builds up from maintaining that kind of lie, from faking your effort to the people who love you, man, that is ultimately suffocating.
Which brings us to our big conclusion today. Look, you can successfully fool your parents, your peers. Honestly, you could fool the whole world. But what happens when you talk to yourself at the end of the day? You can't lie to your own reflection in the mirror. To truly live a free life, we have to master our self-talk. Absolutely refuse to take things personally, banish those wild assumptions, and always, always give our absolute best so we can actually face ourselves in the quiet moments. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to really reflect on. When the day is completely done, who are you truly accountable to?